Hi, welcome to CSEPC 110 Introduction to Programming. I'm Travis Hilliard. I am the instructor for this course, and we're going to be doing a code along together. So let's switch over to the code. All right, hopefully you can still see me down in that little box there. So let's go over the code along activity for week one, the ID badge generator. So we're going to be making like a driver's license or a student ID card. We're going to be using just strings and variables to create this ID card. So let's follow along here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file here in Visual Code. So if you have Visual Code set up right and Python set up right, this should be pretty easy. Click on New File here, and I'm going to select Python. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control S to save it. It's going to prompt me here for the name, and I'm going to do Week01 Code Along. And you notice here it says save as type Python. So we're going to save that there. And then here on our Explorer, it should pop up the code, the file name right there. And you notice it has a .py. That means it is a Python file. So now I know where this is on my computer. It's in this code along folder. So later, if I need to submit this, like you will need to do with your projects, you can come to this folder here. If you highlight here, there's the path in my computer, and then I can submit it later. So I'm going to collapse this now just so we have some more real estate. Okay, so we're going to make an ID badge generator, and let's start here with the program requirements. Write program to prompt the user for the following, all these, and let's just copy those here and paste them in there. You'll notice it has those yellow squiggly lines and red squiggly lines. That's Python saying, I don't know what to do with this. So we're going to highlight all of those here, and I'm going to hit Control / You notice it puts all these pound signs in front of them. It basically makes them into comments, something that Python won't read. So and that again is done with the / here. And that one is right above the Alt on the right hand side of your keyboard, or right next to the Shift. It should be right where the question mark button is, at least on English keyboards. You might have to look that up on your keyboard if you're using a different language. So we just do that, and then I can highlight that again, hit the same thing, and it uncomment it. But let's leave that commented here. So I like to follow a simple formula here with all my code. We take 4 steps. First is initialize or set up what we need to run the program. 2, we get values. 3, we do the work. And 4, we output. For these simple programs, we'll follow this through all the code alongs here, and I just like to use it that way because it keeps things in order in my brain. So first things first, we're going to initialize a variable. We're going to call this variable first name, and we're going to use what's called camel case. That way we capitalize the words of the second and all remaining words in the variable name, and we leave the first one as lowercase, just because that's the way we do it with variables. Other programming languages require it that way, so that's just a good practice and something that I've done for a long time. So we get values, so that we've initialized this variable first name as an empty string. That's what these quotation marks here, which is basically a good starter variable. Basically nothing in it. So now we want to get the values. So we're going to ask the user, and you should have learned about input in your lessons this week. So we're going to get a value for that variable, and we're going to ask them for a first name. I like to put a little space after the colon there so it looks nice, and it gives them space there. And if you'll notice here, down in this, it says first name, and then it gives them that space so they can type there. If we didn't give them that space there, it'd be right next to the colon. It just wouldn't look nice, and that it's required for this assignment. So, but it's also nice to have it look nice for future. Now we're not going to do much work with these variables. There's not much that we can do. A lot of it we can do in the output itself. So we're not going to worry about number 3 for this assignment. But we're going to print out what we have. And we can do that by printing out that first name here just so we know what we're printing, and then we're going to print out the variable itself. As you notice here as I type, this little drop down here kind of suggests what I should use. I can either click there or I can hit tab and it'll fill it in for me, just save me a few keystrokes. So I'm going to click save that. I hit Control S. If you notice, some of the formatting got cleaned up a little bit, so it looks prettier. And then I'm going to run it. Before I run it, I'm going to make sure it does what I expect it to do. So I like to say, okay, what do I expect this program to show me? Well, I expect it to ask me for a first name. Let me type that in and then save it to this variable, and then it'll print out this right here, and then it'll print out whatever I printed in that first name here. So let's clean that up. There's a lot there. Okay, let's have a nice clean one. It's printed out twice, and it didn't allow me. Oh, so what's the problem here? If you remember, it's the first one. We didn't use the input. We just printed first name. So I'm going to highlight all that, and here's a little trick here. If you hit parentheses here, we can wrap that all in parentheses, and then I'm going to put input. All right, so it didn't do what I wanted to last time, but this time, let's make sure that it lets me input that variable. All right, first name, we're going to put Bob, and it should, there we go, print out first name, and then on a new line, Bob. So if we wanted to print it out differently, we'll talk about that in a minute here, but it is doing exactly what I want it to do. All right, there we go. So now that we've got that part working, let's set up all our other variables here. Last name, and then email address, not enumerate, phone number, and accidentally started to run it. So let's go back here. Phone number, job, title, and ID number. Okay, so now we have all the variables were initialized. So let's do a quick little thing here. Let's highlight all these, and we can do a mass, multi-line edit here. So I'm going to paste all those here, and I'm going to highlight those two quotation marks, and I'm going to hit Control D once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And then I can do this, hit backspace, and that erases everything I have highlighted there, and then I can do input, and then put in there, put the quotation marks. So currently these will be blank. So since we're going to have different things in each one of these, I'm just going to stop there, click anywhere to get out of the multi-line edit. And now I can go back here. I guess I could have put in a colon and a space each one, but that's okay, because we'll just grab stuff from here. We'll grab these here. Copy, paste, copy, paste. Oops, I didn't copy that. With this sort of thing, it's probably faster to just type it. Hit Control V, not Control C. Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, Control C, and Control V. All right, so now we've got all those set up to input variables, and it'll save whatever strings we put into these variables. All right, that looks good there. So let's give that a run and make sure that if we print, so now we're going to make sure that if we enter in a first name and then enter in a last name, it won't print out the last name here. Seems kind of intuitive, but let's just make sure that it's working the way we want to, and that it's also asking for all those variables. So Bob Smith, email address a@g.com, phone number is 123-123-1234, job title is head chef, ID number is 1234. All right, so it printed out first name and Bob. Awesome. Exactly what we wanted it to do. Okay, so let's go back to what it's asking for here. So this is the example of the running program. So we wanted to print out just like this. So if we go back to our terminal here, let's run it again. Bob Smith at g.com. 123, 123, 123, Job title is head chef. And number is 1234. So if we look at the difference between those two, what is the thing? So this part is pretty much correct. It matches this part. But we're missing some stuff here. We need that. We need to print this. So before we print out, before we start getting the values here, we're getting these, setting these variables here. Let's enter a few things here. Let's print. Please enter the following information. So let's just grab that text here. There we go. And I put in another line so we could do this. So this just prints out an empty line by itself. All right. So let's run this and make sure that these two are printing out the way that we expect. Run that here. There we go. Please enter the following information. So we don't have to finish this. We can just hit the garbage can and kill this terminal because we know that that's what we were testing and that's what's working. So we're good there. Okay, so we also need a space after that, after we enter the ID number. That's good. Let's skip on to what's next. So we've got all those variables, and what we can do is we can, again, we can do a multi-line edit here. Grab all these, copy, paste, and then again we're going to highlight that, Control D once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, backspace, and then I'm going to hit Shift Home to highlight everything in there. And I'm going to do parentheses, and then I'm going to hit Home again. I'll take it the front of the line there, and I'm going to print all those out. So it should print everything out that we put there. Okay. Let's run it and make sure that's working correctly. Okay, Bob Smith. Email address is b@g.com. Phone number is 123 123 1234. Job title is head chef. ID number is 1234. So we should see all that information right there. Awesome. And we got our space as well. But we have this first name here. We need to get rid of that, but we have all of our variables printing out correctly, exactly in the order that we entered them. Cool. All right. So what do we need to do? We need to take this out because we don't need to print first name anymore. We have our space here. So after the space, we print out the ID card is, print the ID card is, and then we need this line here. So let's copy that, print. And then while we're here, we know we have one down at the bottom too. So let's just print that one as well. So we've added the ID card is and these dashes lines. So we should see those print out. Let's make sure that's working before we go any further. First name Bob, last name Smith, b@g.com. Phone number is 123 123 1234. Job title is head chef. ID number is 1234. All right, the ID card is, and our dashes are showing correctly. All right, so now we have just this middle part of the card to fix to make it line up like this. So let's take it line by line. Kill the terminal. So the first line, we need to print out the last name first, last name, and then the first name. So there's a couple ways that we can do this. Here, I'll show you the way that I like to do it, which really isn't a Python thing, but it's the way that I prefer. First, we need to make sure the last name prints first. So let's move that up. Control X, put in a new line there. I'm deleting that just to make sure if we left that in, it wouldn't print in a blank line. It would just be white space there, just to help the code look cleaner more than anything. Okay, print last name first, and then we need the first name, but we need them on the same line. So what I like to use is something called concatenation. So I'm going to put my cursor right there, right after last name, and I'm going to do plus, and then I'm going to enter a static string here, because you notice between the last name and the first name, there's a comma and a space. So I added a comma and a space as a static string. Static meaning it doesn't change no matter what what we enter for last name. That comma space will always print. Then we're going to add another plus sign there, and instead of printing it on a new line, we're going to print it on this first line, on that same line. So concatenation, we use the plus signs with strings because that's a concatenation symbol. It's not like it is in arithmetic, so it doesn't add them. It smushes the strings together. So um, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Sesame Street, but it's a children's program here, and whenever they'd have a word, they'd smush them together. They'd say the two consonants together and smush them together. So that's kind of what concatenation is with strings. So we put that together here, so it should print out last name, comma, space, first name. So let's make sure that works. First name Bob, last name Smith, email address is b@g.com, 123 123 1234, job title is head chef, and ID number is 1234. All right, so there's doing exactly what we told it to do. Last name first, and then first name last. Perfect, awesome. Okay, but we still have some things to do here. If you notice here, the user entered capital D, little underscore, lowercase o, lowercase e, but it's printing out in all uppercase here. So there's some cool things that we can do with strings. We can use what are called functions. And to see what those are, we can hit just the period there, and it gives a whole bunch of things that we can do with that string. So one of them, and this is in the strings lesson, is we can use upper. Now we need to use open and close parentheses here because it's a function, and we'll learn more about those at the end of the semester, but for now, no need to worry. Just open and close parentheses. And then also you notice here that Jane is always capitalized. So as we've been entering Bob, lowercase Bob with the first B, we always want it to capitalize the first letter there. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use another function. And instead of upper, because we don't want them all uppercase, we just want to capitalize the first word, so first letter, so we use capitalize and open and close parentheses. All right, let's make sure that works. Again, we wanted to print out all uppercase, and then just the first letter uppercase for the first word, first name. All right, Bob. Again, we did all lowercase here. We did all lowercase for the last name. Title is head chef. The number is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, there we go. Those functions are working for us. There's the uppercase and there's the capitalize. All right, awesome. First line's great. Let's move on to the second line. So this one has the job title. All right, but instead of that, we have the email address. So let's move job title up here. Control X. There we go. But if you notice here, we entered head chef as all lowercase, and we wanted to print out the capital H and capital C. So to do that, we have another function called title. And that makes it like a book title or a movie title, or in this case, a job title. So it should make both of those uppercase. Clear out that space there. I'm going to kill this terminal and make sure that that is printing correctly. First name Bob, lowercase, last name Smith, lowercase, b@g.com, phone number 123 job title head chef, and ID numbers 123 4. And we want to make sure again the job title is capitalized both H and C. There we go. It's doing it. All right. Awesome. Okay. After that, we have the ID. So with ID, let's move that up here under job title. But you notice they added this static text to it. Capital I, capital D, colon, space. So I'm going to show you the more Python way to do this with something called format. So I'm going to, first thing first, I'm going to wrap this in parentheses or in quotation marks. And then I'm going to put an F in front because that tells it we're going to format everything in this string. Again, we don't want this. Again, this is not a static string, so we want to make sure it's not in those parentheses. So what we do is we tell Python that this is a variable by wrapping it in curly braces. See how it changed from orange text to blue text there, just like these other variables? See, the orange text is the static string. And so we want to add a static string in front of that, just like that. So that says that this is a variable. If we didn't have that wrapped in there, it'd print out ID number every time and not the 1, 2, 3, 4 like we usually put in. So let's test that out. We'll run this here. First name, Bob Smith, b@g.com, 123 job title head chef, ID number 1234. So we want to make sure it prints out ID colon space and then the 1234. There we go, just like it shows here. Awesome. Okay, so next line we have a new line, and again, if we just put that, it won't do it. It'll ignore that white space. If we print a blank string there, it'll print out that. And let's make sure. All right, let's leave that there. And I think if we just add that, we have everything we need. So this should look, when we print it out next time, it should look, this part should look just like this part. So let's see. First name Bob, last name Smith, email address b@g.com, 123 job titles head chef, ID numbers 1234. There we go. The ID card looks like we have everything we want. All right. Now we don't have to worry about, these parentheses or these dashes because that's the way that they entered in. So we don't have to worry about that. So the reason why we do it this way is because, say, for example, we wanted to have a different ID card, but we want to print out the same name for a different person, or the same way for a different person. We could do like Abby Jones. Email address is a@g.com. Phone number is 456-456-4567. Job title is sous chef, and ID number is 4567. So there we go. So we have different variables, different values, different strings, and it prints out exactly the same way. So this will come in handy when you're doing your project here, so that if you want to run your program again, each time you run it, you'll have a different adjective or a different verb or a different noun, so you can tell different ad lib stories. So it looks like we've got everything there. So there it is. If you guys have questions, again, don't be afraid to pause, rewind, go back, play it over again if you get lost on something. But if you have any other questions, feel free to leave me a message in Microsoft Teams. You can either comment below this video, or you can reach out through the help, or you can send me a direct message through Teams. Again, that's the best way to contact me because I check that quite a few times during the day instead of emails, which I only check twice a day. So there you go. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time.